room. Did the board tell you we're not renewing your contract and that led to your decision? There had been a report of that. I'm not sure whether it was Brian or Liz or who reported that first, but could you address that?
Sure. Look in your packet. I believe it was March 10th, 2010. In print, Joe Hairston stated that he would not seek another term. Any other questions?
Can you talk more about your conversation with Dr. Grasmick, where she encouraged you to leave on your own terms?
That's the standard procedure for any superintendent. You have to understand something. Superintendents do not run around asking for these jobs. They're not the type of jobs where you go home smiling every day. It's a responsibility. Dr. Grasmick and I have had candid conversations, similar to conversations superintendent around the country have. And we internalize the process. We're not the $1 million CEOs. We're public servants.
So what is on the bucket list? What is on the bucket list? You talked about having conversations with your wife of what you're going to do next.
Yes.
What are you going to do next?
Well, I have some personal advisors, my career advisors, who take a personal interest in Joe Hairston. That it goes back to my days at Virginia Tech, and actually they advised me to leave 6 years ago. They know that there are opportunities out there for experienced superintendents. We know the face of education, the entire business of schooling in America is changing. There are as many alternatives to the traditional approach to public education now than ever before. The problem is that you will find a tremendous gap in people prepared to handle those situations. Within the next 2 years, of the 15,000 superintendents in America, about 50% of them will no longer be in those positions, and the pipeline is thin. There will be a need for someone to be in position to be able to train and develop and prepare the next wave of leadership in education. Opportunities are out there.
So you're saying you're going to be a consultant?
Well, I don't even know what consultants do anymore. I'd like to think that my experience might be useful somewhere.
I'm not sure what they can do.
Yeah. You still have time remaining on the job. It's just October.
Absolutely. This is not a wait. and my board members remind me of that all the time. They're going to hold me accountable to show up every day and make sure that 17,000 employees continue to do the good job that we're doing with our children. So let's put it all in perspective. 12 years that's a pretty good run for anyone. But 12 years in a school system with over 100,000 students, as diverse as we are, with 12 consecutive years of academic achievement is unheard of. I'd like to go out on top.
Since you know this district so well, what kind of person will it take to run this district after you?
Well, and I'll use this over and over again in several venues. You're going to have to learn how to handle the pressure. The pressure is going to be anything related to education and schooling. And if you hang around long enough, you will create some enemies. You need to understand that people are capable of doing and saying anything. They will even personalize it. And if you're the superintendent, and there's only one, you have to understand that your decisions are going to be decisions that some people will support, some people will not want to accept. People would like to create images of you being a change agent. They would like to create images of you being something that you truly are not. But you better understand who you are, and your core value must drive you at every step of the process. I think the technical skills of understanding the business of schooling with regards to instruction and budget, and that's okay. But those personal traits that will enable you to sustain yourself as you deal with the multiple characteristics of human beings in different environments will be absolutely essential. And at every level, the political level, at the federal, state, and local.
What do you consider
Dr.
to be
Hairston,
your greatest achievement for your 12 years?
There's no one single greatest achievement because I do not operate that way. I've been very fortunate because when I came here, everything we did was driven by research, and we had a transition report. And I understood the culture in Baltimore County and its history. We understood very clearly where we were, so we took a baseline assessment. And we mapped out, based on what we heard from the community, what parents wanted for their children, we mapped out a process to move forward. So the achievements range from increasing the performance of our minority students. We're 54% minority enrolled students, school system now. We have increased the graduation rate. We have increased the performance of our students with regards to advanced placement. And it's not so much the advanced placement, but getting more students involved in taking more rigorous courses. And the intent wasn't necessarily to boost the numbers as much as getting more students to perform at a higher level. The reason for that was quite clear. The world has changed. The expectations are higher. I can say this to you, and the evidence speaks for itself. There will be no superintendent that would have been exposed to a greater level of scrutiny and accountability than Joe Hairston. Because during this 12-year time period, more was expected of us. The rigorous accountability came in, and of course we had the No Child Left Behind with the federal government. I won't call it intrusion, but obviously they have a great impact on what we do. Then of course the public scrutiny, and of course by that time you have the naysayers who would always want to magnify anything they don't like. Doesn't have anything to do with being wrong. Sometimes people just don't like it, and they react that way, and you have to be able to manage that. We have the highest graduation rate in the country of African American males in school systems with over 100,000 students with Wake County and Montgomery County. We're very proud of that. We're very proud of the fact that over 50% of our high schools are ranked in the top 7% in America. We're very proud of the fact that we're way ahead of the curve with our partnership with Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin, where we were able to take advantage of the technology that recently has been declassified so the public will have access to this drone technology that exists at Chesapeake High School. We're very proud of the fact that we did not embrace technology as an instructional entity within itself. It was a tool. We have moved far beyond that. We were way ahead of the game with regards to our concept with technology as a tool, where we now have students developing software programs. And at the same time, textbook companies are moving away from hard copy text, such as this, to digital text. Here in Baltimore County, it exists. What I'm saying to you, there are many cutting edge initiatives that we put in place here in Baltimore County that did not exist prior to my arrival, and in most cases do not exist in school systems of similar profiles. We're one of the national models. What I'm proudest of, with our range of diversity and with the cultural shift and the infusion of globalization, this school system has been able to manage a level of harmony within this organization in terms of our students, that our students do not look at themselves as different. They're all Baltimore County students. And that is why we've been able to close the achievement gap. And what I'm I'm most proud of is the fact that when you look at me, I model the human condition. I have no enemies that I make. People want to make me their enemy. Because I am uncompromising on integrity. I am uncompromising on my core value. I am uncompromising on my personal commitment to serve the citizens of Baltimore County on behalf of the children. I'm proud of the fact that our children have responded to what we've asked of them.
Dr. Hairston, considering that you're an African American, what is your prognosis for the future of African American students? Do you see the college matriculation increasing?
I think the future for African Americans will probably be as grave as it was in the 50s. The reason why I say that, if African Americans do not assume greater responsibility for their own condition, I don't think people are going to come forward to support them. The other part, there must be a champion for the African American student, just as there are champions for all students who are not native of this country. I see an embracement of foreigners coming in this school system and this country, which is a melting pot. This nation has always been a melting pot. But because of the economic conditions, and that's what I'm referring my comments to, the plight of the African American will evolve around their capacity to be positioned to be employable with the skill sets that are required for the new jobs that will be created. This is why it is incumbent upon us not to ignore the fact that we have to do a good job of educating our African American students if they are significant in numbers, because they will be consumers, they will be people who will contribute to our economy just like everyone else.
Dr. Hairston, what do you think has been the most unfair, inaccurate criticism of your tenure?
Just about everything you see in print.